As a single mom, I flexed my business to enjoy time with my kids. Until a week before Christmas 2008, when our house was foreclosed on unexpectedly. My attorney did his best, but we were forced to move. We lost all our friends, and overnight, my son started having issues. When we lost our live-in nanny, he would hit the babysitters. He went ballistic if you touched his stuff. He stopped sharing his toys. He got in trouble at school. This went on for 3 years. Meanwhile, I continued suing U.S. Bank. Finally, the school assessed him. Turns out he was always autistic, but my healing process had helped him so no one knew. But being forced out of our house was a trigger for his autism. I lost against U.S. Bank. I appealed and I won and set a bunch of precedents. By now I had learned the law. Meanwhile, I discovered my son's special education teacher was abusing him. I reported the abuse and the school sued me to force him into a school where they lock kids in a closet. I was disgusted. I realized the school system was just like the banks. Fraud, perjury, except these are schools and these are kids. Meanwhile, U.S. Bank continued and I won another fight. But I lost at school. Legally, I was right, but they lied in court, committed fraud, I had a bad judge. I sued the school back, and this time I uncovered perjury and I had proof. But my son was too old even though they won, so they had to start over. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo tried to illegally evict us from our rental, and I ended up fighting them at the same time. But I finally got to trial with U.S. Bank, and this time, again, I won for good. Back to the school. They knew I caught him lying, so they could not sue us again. They would lose. So one day, they just called the police on my son, pretended to have an order they did not have, and illegally kicked him out with someone with a gun. My son was literally terrified. They threatened me with arrest to try to shut me up so I wouldn't tell anybody. My son became clinically depressed. He lost all his friends, and friends are really one of his most difficult things as a child with autism. I wasn't sure what to do. The attorneys let me down. They literally quit right before the appeal. I reported the administrator for perjury, though, and I got him fired. While I was fighting, we found homeschooling. My son started learning just to be at school again. But that school was kind of incompetent, so my son got further and further behind, despite being really smart. We had another 3-year battle. They sued me, I sued them back. But this time I had learned what to do and I won. My son's lawsuit changed the school, the largest charter school in California. Now my son gets what he needs, though it's hard because he's so tired of trying. My mission now is to help parents so their kids don't have to suffer like my son has. He is still suffering, but we're done fighting. And I learned that just like U.S. Bank and Wells Fargo, the school districts underestimate me. It used to frustrate me, but now I know this is my secret weapon.